Hey guys, tonight we're doing something a little different. Imagine this, you blink open your eyes and you're not in your cozy bed anymore. There's no mattress, no ceiling fan, no ambient hum of traffic outside. You're flat on a pile of straw and it smells, well, like a barnyard mixed with a fireplace and something sour you can't quite place. You sit up, you're cold. Your back aches, and there's a chicken sitting on your foot. You've just woken up in the Middle Ages. No warning, no prep time, no vaccinations, no Google. Just you, your thoroughly modern brain, and a world where everything from water to strangers could end you. Welcome to the most dangerous morning of your life. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Drop your location and local time in the comments. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your head is pounding, not from alcohol or stress, but from the cold. The kind of cold that seeps into your bones because there's no insulation. You look around. The walls are wattle and daub twigs, mud manure all slapped together. The roof is thatch and it leaks. The floor is dirt. You are quite literally sleeping in the earth. The bed you thought was straw. It's old musty, probably filled with lice and smells faintly of urine. You're also not alone in the room. There's an entire family nearby asleep. You recognize nothing. The clothes are weird. Everything's brown and coarse. You try to stand, but the dizziness stops you. You're hungry, no surprise, since you haven't eaten since well last night in your century. But you're also thirsty, and that's going to be your first fatal problem. You see there's no faucet here, no filtered water, no handy Dasani bottle. If you ask for water, you'll be handed something cloudy that smells a little off. That's because most medieval people didn't drink plain water. They knew instinctively it could make them sick. Instead, they drank weak ale. Every man, woman, and child started their day with it. But you're not used to beer for breakfast, and your stomach's already in knots. Still, your thirst outweighs your hesitation. Someone, maybe the hunched old woman in the corner, maybe a kid, hands you a wooden cup of small ale. It's warm, slightly sour. You sip it and gag. They laugh at you. And now you've got attention. That's not good. It's not that they think you're dangerous. It's that you're different. You talk funny. You look too clean in some places and too strange in others. Your teeth way too white. Your mannerisms foreign. You're going to have to explain yourself, and the words time traveler won't exactly earn you friends. Witchcraft, however, might, and not the fun kind. You're handed a rough linen tunic, damp patched, crawling with fleas. You put it on, cringing at the smell. There's no undergarments. Nothing fits properly. And shoes, if you're lucky, they're leather turn shoes with zero padding. The moment you step outside, mud slurps around your toes. And that's not just mud. You've woken up in a village. There are pigs wandering freely, chickens pecking at refuse, and a suspicious pile steaming in the middle of the road. Children are barefoot and filthy. The air is thick with the smell of dung smoke and unwashed bodies. You try to breathe through your mouth, but even that doesn't help. The taste lingers. You head toward what looks like a stream. You're desperate to wash your face. Bad move. That stream, that's the village's drinking water laundry tub, dishwashing basin, and toilet, especially upstream. There's no sewage system. Waste is dumped straight into the streets or nearby ditches. You crouch down trying to cup some water to rinse your hands. A nearby woman screams at you some warning in a dialect you don't understand. You back away, heart racing. And then the coughing starts. Not from you, from everyone. It's everywhere. Wet, chesty, rattling coughs. There's no such thing as covering your mouth. Tuberculosis, typhoid, whooping cough, they're all part of the soundtrack here. Germs hang in the air. There's no hand sanitizer, no antibiotics. One wrong inhale and you're a goner. You walk the village hoping for something familiar. But even the houses look unstable. The thatched roofs are home to mice birds and insects. Walls are soft in places, warped in others. Doors hang crooked, and the stench of smoke clings to everything. You pass by a woman grinding grain with a quernstone. Her hands are cracked and bloody. Her knuckles are swollen from arthritis, even though she looks no older than 30. Your stomach growls. Finally, a saving grace food. You're offered a piece of bread. You take it eagerly only to realize it's dense, hard, and full of gritty particles. Not flavor grit. Because the flour was ground with stone and bits of quartz often ended up in the dough. You're chewing stone, slowly destroying your enamel with every bite. There's no meat, no fresh fruit. Maybe some cabbage soup, watery and sour. If you're really lucky, a bit of dried fish that smells like old socks. Spices, forget it. Salt is rare. Sugar, non-existent. Your taste buds are in mourning. And your stomach, oh, your stomach. You haven't had modern probiotics in your life lately. Your gut has no idea what to do with this prehistoric buffet. Cramps hit, then waves of nausea. But where's the toilet? You're about to learn the brutal truth. There isn't one. There's a trench outside the village. A stinking fly-ridden pit surrounded by buzzing clouds of disease. You hike up your tunic, squat over it, and pray your dignity survives. There's no toilet paper, just leaves if you're lucky, and hopefully not poisonous. You want to go home. Of course you do. But there's no door to open, no phone to call. Just this endless, grim cycle of survival. And the sun is barely up. You ask someone where you are. They name a place you've never heard of. You ask what year. They laugh. Who counts years? Only monks. Only people in monasteries far away. Time here is told by the bell, the position of the sun, the rhythm of labor. There are no clocks, no calendars, just seasons of planting, reaping, and dying. And death is never far. A child limps past you. You glance at her foot, swollen red with a festering wound. She probably stepped on a nail or cut herself on something sharp. There's no antiseptic, no tetanus shot, no urgent care. Her fate is sealed. You hear shouting, someone nearby angry. You freeze. Violence is fast here. Arguments end in broken teeth or worse. There's no police, no rights. The village is governed by a lord you haven't seen, and justice is swift and cruel. You step away, shrinking into shadow. You're beginning to understand. The medieval world isn't quaint. It isn't charming. It's brutal, raw, and perilously real. You don't belong here. But the day has just begun, and you'll have to keep moving if you want to stay alive until sunset. You try to keep a low profile, but low profiles don't exist here. Everyone sees you. Everyone notices. In a village of perhaps 100 souls, a stranger is like a lightning strike, rare, alarming, and deeply suspicious. The way you walk, the way you flinch at every sudden sound, even the way you hold your body, none of it matches what these people have known all their lives. They whisper as you pass. Not just about your strange tunic or the way you winced when you saw someone sharpening a blade, but about your eyes. You make too much eye contact. It's considered bold, dangerous, especially if you're looking at someone of higher rank. Or worse, a woman someone else has already claimed. There's a man broad-shouldered with a crooked nose and stained teeth who's been watching you since sunrise. You don't know why. But it doesn't matter. In a world where might makes right, all it takes is one wrong look, and you'll be facing a fist or a blade. Still, you press on. You need shelter, food, maybe someone who can help. You've heard of monasteries and stories, places where monks keep books, brew beer, and care for the sick. That sounds safer than here. You ask a child, pointing upward toward the hills. The child only stares. She doesn't understand your words. Because of course you don't speak medieval English, or medieval French, or whatever bizarre mix of Latin Old Norse and grunts these people use. Your accent alone is your doom. Eventually, someone tries to help. A woman. Her hands are rough and blistered. She wears a filthy apron and smells like sour milk. Still, she gestures you toward a cart. A merchant's leaving soon, she mimes. Heading toward the next village, maybe even the town. You nod grateful and follow. You ride on the back of the cart, bouncing with every rock and rut. There's no suspension, no pavement. Just uneven dirt pools of sludge and the occasional bone of something that didn't make it. Along the road, you pass another cart, this one empty. Except for a bundle. It looks like rags until you realize it's a body. No coffin. No prayers. Just another dead peasant on their way to the churchyard. If they're lucky, they'll be buried. If not, the birds will take what they need. You say nothing. You've never felt this fragile. You've never been more aware of your own soft, vulnerable body. You weren't made for this world. You don't even know how to sit without complaining. And now you're gripping a splintering wooden plank while a wheel squeaks so loudly, you're sure it's about to shatter. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher. The heat is oppressive. You sweat through your tunic. But there's no deodorant, no showers, just layers of grime that accumulate quickly. Your skin itches. You scratch. Probably not wise fleas are everywhere. Maybe lice. You don't want to think about scabies. The merchant says nothing. He smells like onions and old leather. He doesn't even glance at you, which is good. That's the closest thing to kindness you've seen today. Finally, a town. It's not what you expect. There are walls, yes, wooden palisades, a gate manned by 2 guards with pikes. They don't smile. You try to stay close to the merchant. You're waved through, though one of the guards eyes you suspiciously. You pretend not to notice. You're getting good at that already. Inside, it's louder, crowded. Children run barefoot through mud and offal. Women haggle over onions and cabbages. There's a smell of raw fish and warm manure. A pig trots past, squealing. A butcher hacks into something unidentifiable with a cleaver that hasn't seen soap in its lifetime. You walk quickly. You're not sure where to go, an inn maybe. But inns aren't like the ones you know. They're dark, smoky, and filled with strangers who see newcomers as threats. You hesitate outside one, and that's enough. A boy, a thief, probably tugs at your belt. He's fast. Too fast. He makes off with your pouch. Not that you had anything useful in it. Still, it's humiliating. Inside the inn, the floor is sticky with spilled ale and blood. A fight is brewing in the corner. Two men shout over a game of dice. One flips the table. You back out, heart pounding. You duck into a nearby alley. It smells even worse than the street. You lean against a wall, trying not to gag. But then you hear a soft rustle behind you. You turn too slowly. A boy, barely a teen, stands there with a sharpened stick. He's barefoot, shirtless, and thin as a twig. His eyes are wild. He wants your shoes. That's it. Your pathetic, ragged, too modern for this century's shoes. You raise your hands. You try to talk him down. But you don't speak the language, remember, so you take them off. You hand them over. He grabs them and runs. You stand there in your filthy, flea-bitten socks, wondering how much worse this can get. But you're about to find out. A bell rings in the distance. A deep, hollow clang. It's not a church bell. It's the plague bell. A cry follows something in a panicked voice. You don't know the words, but the emotion is clear. People start scattering. Doors slam shut. Windows close. You're left in the alley alone and shoeless as the town seems to hold its breath. Then you see them. Two men dragging a cart, and on it several slumped shapes, covered in cloth but not completely. One arm hangs loose. One face is visible, gray, waxy, dead. The Black Death hasn't disappeared yet. In some places it comes and goes, like a curse that never quite ends. You freeze. The cart bumps past. One of the men spots you. He squints. Maybe he sees something odd in you. Maybe he smells your fear. Either way, he spits on the ground and mutters something. You don't stay to hear it. You run. Your feet slap against the ground mud, squelching between your toes. You don't know where you're going. You just run. Through alleys past angry dogs and staring faces. You trip over a stone and fall hard, scraping your knees. It's a stupid injury, but it could kill you. Infection is ruthless here. Even the smallest wound invites death. Eventually, you find yourself by a church. Not a grand cathedral, just a squat stone building with a tiny graveyard beside it. You slip inside. It's cool, dark, musty. Candles flicker near an altar. A man in robes, likely the priest, kneels in prayer. He hears you. He turns, and he sees the desperation on your face. He gestures you forward. You fall to your knees, babbling. It doesn't matter that he can't understand. He knows a lost soul when he sees one. He offers a bit of bread, real bread, maybe even a scrap of cheese. You eat greedily, tears stinging your eyes. For a moment you feel safe, but then you see it. On the wall, a list. Names crossed out. The dead. This village is dying. This priest is already preparing your name just in case. You stare at it, heart-hammering. And you realize again that you are not going to survive this. The day isn't even half over. You're still kneeling on the cold stone floor, shivering from the inside out. The priest has returned to his prayers. He's murmuring in Latin now, rhythmic and soft. as if trying to steady the earth itself with each repeated syllable. You try to match your breath to the cadence, desperate to slow your racing heart. For a second, the world goes quiet, but not for long. Outside, the shouting resumes. The bell tolls again, one heavy, drawn-out note that echoes through the narrow streets. Someone nearby is wailing. You don't need translation for that kind of grief. The priest glances toward the door, then back at you. He says something gentle but firm. It's time to go. You stumble to your feet. Your knees crack. Your feet are still bare swollen now, splattered with muck. He offers you a cloak. It's scratchy and smells like old beeswax and incense, but it's the closest thing to a blanket of mercy you've known all day. You nod in thanks, even though you know he can't understand the words. He crosses himself. You mimic the motion. It seems safer that way. Outside, the air has changed. There's a tension to it, like the atmosphere before a storm. People are gone. Doors are barred. The only ones still moving are those with carts or bodies. You walk quickly, head down. The cloak hides some of your strangeness, but not all of it. You hear muttering as you pass. The word striga floats to your ears. Witch. It could have been a joke. It could have been the beginning of something far more dangerous. You need to get out of the town, but the gates are watched. You edge along the wall past closed shutters and shuttered faces. You find a low side path where the palisade dips slightly, a drainage ditch. Not meant for people, but it'll do. You climb, slipping in the mud. The smell is enough to make you gag. You don't stop. You can't afford to. Finally, you're out. Back in open country. You take a deep breath, but it doesn't help. The air is thick with the scent of burning herbs. Someone is trying to ward off the plague. Somewhere a pile of bodies may already be smoldering. You walk, there's no clear direction. Just a vague sense that the further from people you are, the safer you'll be. But even the countryside has its dangers. You pass a field of wheat, half-harvested, buzzing with flies. A man scowls at you from behind a plow. His oxen look more skeletal than strong. His face is hollow, burned by sun and wind, and he doesn't wave. He doesn't speak. He just watches as you pass, one hand never leaving the handle of his sickle. You give him a wide berth. Soon you're in the woods. It's cooler here, quieter. The trees whisper overhead, but that's better than human voices right now. You find a patch of soft moss and sit exhausted. Your stomach turns again. You haven't had a proper meal in how long? A day more, you think back to your kitchen. A fridge full of leftovers. A tap with clean water. A bed that didn't crunch when you rolled over. Here there's only hunger and dirt. You'd give anything for a granola bar, even a dry one. But hunger is the least of your problems. Night is coming. You hadn't noticed how quickly the sun dropped behind the trees. But now the shadows are long and cold. There's no streetlight, no flashlight, no phone, and no fire. Because you don't know how to start one. Not without a lighter. Not without dry tinder. Not without practice. The TV shows made it look easy. 2 sticks and determination right. Wrong. You rub twigs until your palms burn. You strike rocks. Nothing. The cloak helps a little, but the chill creeps in anyway. And with it comes the dark and the howls. You freeze. That wasn't a dog, not a modern one anyway. That was deeper, throatier, closer to a wolf. Wolves still roam these forests, real ones, and they're hungry too. You huddle in the roots of an old oak, trying to disappear into the earth. Every snap of a branch sounds like a footstep. Every rustle could be a predator. You close your eyes and pray, not even sure who to pray to anymore. The cold is relentless. Your body trembles. You're wet. You're barefoot. You're weaker than you were this morning. The reality is sinking in fast. This world doesn't care about you. It doesn't care that you're smart, or funny, or well-read. It doesn't care that you had a job, a family, a future. It only cares whether you can survive, and right now you can't. Eventually, exhaustion wins. You drift into a half-sleep, not rest, just unconsciousness, the kind where your brain won't stop reminding you that this might be your last night. When morning comes, it's not with a warm sunrise. It's with pain. Your joints are stiff. Your skin itches. Your stomach cramps. You might have eaten a bad berry. Or maybe the bread yesterday had mold on it. Your body has no defenses left. You try to stand. You fall. Your hands are scraped. You feel heat in your skin. Fever. You recognize it. It's the beginning of something bad. You need help. You stumble through the woods following the sound of running water. A stream. Maybe you'll find another village. Maybe someone kind. Maybe something clean. Instead, you find a man. He's crouched by the bank, washing what looks like a bloodied cloth. He sees you. He stands. He's armed. A long knife at his belt, something sharper in his eyes. You don't speak. You just raise your hands and try not to seem threatening. He says something, but you don't understand. He takes a step closer, then another. You realize there are no rules out here, no law, no mercy. You turn and run, or try to. Your feet catch on a root. You fall again. He doesn't follow. Maybe he just wanted to scare you. Maybe he had other plans. But you're not waiting to find out. You keep moving. Eventually you find a road. A dirt path barely visible. It leads to a small structure, stone smoke rising from the chimney. A cottage, maybe. A chance. You approach coughing. A woman opens the door. She stares at you. Then slowly she steps back. You collapse into the threshold. Darkness again. When you wake, you're in a cot. Real bedding. A fire crackles nearby. The woman is gone, but a man older with a long white beard sits beside you. He speaks slowly. You understand a few words. Latin. Church Latin. You learn he's a healer. Not a doctor, not really. But he knows plants. Poultices. He presses something bitter to your lips. You drink. It might help. It might not. Your fever breaks or pauses. You sweat. You ache. You breathe. But the man says something chilling as he leaves. One word you understand. Sunset. You have until sunset. You're not sure what the old man meant by sunset. The word clings to your mind like smoke, thick, ominous, impossible to shake. Did he mean you'll die by then, or that you have to leave before then? Either way, the pressure sits heavy on your chest. You try to rise, but your limbs protest. Your muscles are jelly. Your head spins with every motion. Still, you push yourself upright. The room sways. You brace against the wall, blinking until the shadows settle. The air inside this tiny stone cottage is thick with the scent of burning herbs, moldy straw, and something sweet and medicinal, perhaps honey mixed with vinegar. Your stomach turns, but for the first time, you're not immediately vomiting. Your host returns. He moves slowly, methodically, as if everything in this world takes twice the energy it should. He carries a bowl of thin porridge barley, maybe with traces of dried roots. It's lukewarm and bland, but you shovel it in as though it's gourmet. Your learning taste doesn't matter. Only calories do. He watches you. Then cautiously, he speaks. Not to make conversation, but to see if you understand. He repeats a few words, slowly, clearly. Names for things around the room: ignis for fire, panis for bread, aqua for water. He points, speaks, waits. You nod, say the words back. It's not much, but it's something. A rhythm of meaning in a world that has none. He seems satisfied. Then he gestures to your foot. It's swollen now. Bruised, cracked, and raw from walking barefoot across medieval filth. He unwraps a strip of cloth, revealing the wound, inflamed, possibly infected. You can't look directly at it. It pulses with heat. He grunts, mutters something like putredo rot. He goes to work. No gloves. No antiseptic. Just hands, cloth, and a thick paste made of garlic and herbs. It stings. You grit your teeth. You've never known pain like this. Every nerve screams. You bite down on the edge of your cloak to keep from crying out. Afterward, he binds the foot again with rough linen and ash. He steps back, breathing heavily. You lie still, sweat running into your eyes. The fever's not gone, just sleeping. Waiting. He speaks again, this time gesturing to the door. You ask with your eyes, "Do I have to leave?" He doesn't answer, just opens the door. Sunlight streams in brilliant blinding. Late afternoon. The day's already waning. You remember the word. Sunset. You're not ready. But the medieval world doesn't wait for you to be ready. It demands obedience or extinction. So you limp to the door. Outside, the landscape seems quieter than before. The air is heavy as if holding its breath. No bird song. No cartwheels. Just wind rustling through the scrubby grass. You see the woman who first opened the door. She stands at a distance, arms folded, watching. Her eyes are cautious, not unkind, but not welcoming either. This isn't a place for guests. You're a threat or a burden. Either way, you can't stay. You thank them with a nod. A whisper of gratitude in a dozen languages. You're not sure which one lands. Probably none. But the old man places something into your hands, a small pouch of herbs and a strip of smoked meat. You clutch them like treasure. In a world where everything wants to kill you, even a crust of food is salvation. You begin walking again. The road is rough. Every step is agony. Your foot throbs with each heartbeat. But you keep going, because there's nowhere else to go. A short while later, you come across a stone marker. It's weather-worn, covered in moss. But the carving is still visible, a crude cross, and beneath it a name. Maybe a grave, maybe a shrine. You stop. Rest a moment. The sun is lower now, painting the hills in shades of blood orange and amber. You look around. A few huts in the distance. Smoke trails from a chimney. Maybe safety, maybe not. But then you hear them. Hooves. Distant at first. Then closer. You duck behind the stone marker, heart racing. You peer through the weeds. A mounted patrol. 3 men on horseback, dressed in thick woolen tunics with padded leather jerkins. Each carries a long spear. They ride with purpose. One has a hunting horn slung over his back. The others have short swords at their hips. They don't look friendly. You stay low, barely breathing. The horses pass within yards. One rider glances your way. You freeze. He doesn't stop. He doesn't call out. But he saw you. And that means your time is shorter than you thought. You wait until they vanish down the road, then rise and limp the opposite direction into the woods again. It's almost sunset. The sky deepens to purple. The air cools. The light grows gold and then gray. You find a clearing and decide this is it. You can't walk any further. Your body is shutting down. Your foot is a furnace. Your breath comes shallow and quick. You curl beneath a tree, wrapping the cloak tightly around you. You clutch the pouch the old man gave you. You try to believe it matters. Insects buzz. The night begins to hum with the hidden lives of creatures you'll never see. And you begin to hallucinate. At first, it's just the shimmer of the trees, then faces in the branches, shapes in the sky, whispers. You close your eyes, but they don't go away. You see your own bed, your real bed, clean sheets, a glowing phone screen, the hum of your air conditioner. You try to climb into that vision, but your body won't move. Instead, the vision fades, and you remember all at once where you are. This world doesn't have mercy. It only has time, and your time is running out. You drift into unconsciousness again, the last light of day fading from the sky. And somewhere, whether real or imagined, you hear the voice of the old man again. Sunset. The darkness doesn't feel like sleep, it feels like falling. You plummet through layers of shadow, your body weightless and heavy at once. Somewhere in the abyss, you sense time passing, but not in the way you're used to. There's no ticking clock, no glowing phone screen beside your bed. Just the quiet ache of a body caught between exhaustion and illness, and the hum of a forest that doesn't care whether you wake up again. When consciousness returns, it does so violently. You wake coughing deep, dry, and painful. Your throat feels raw like you've swallowed gravel. Your tongue is swollen. Your lips are cracked. Dew clings to your hair and lashes chilling your scalp. You sit up slowly, every joint aching. The forest floor beneath you is wet and uneven. Your breath fogs in the cool morning air. You've survived the night. Barely. Your foot, still wrapped in the healer's cloth, pulses with pain. You peel back the bandage and nearly vomit. The wound is redder now, angrier. Pus oozes from the edges. The fever is coming back. In the modern world, you'd go to urgent care. A tetanus shot. Antibiotics. Clean gauze. Recovery. Here, you watch your body begin to rot, and you know there's nothing you can do about it. You force yourself to eat a strip of the smoked meat the old man gave you. It's dry and tough, but you chew it slowly. You drink from a nearby stream, not that it's clean, but your thirst burns hotter than your fear of dysentery. You press a handful of the herbs against your wound, trying to remember how he applied them. But you're not him. You're not anything here. Just a lost shadow of a person out of place, out of time. You don't know where to go next, but standing still will kill you. So you limp forward. The woods thin out after a while, giving way to open pastures lined with low stone walls. Sheep graze in the distance. A figure, probably a shepherd, sits motionless atop a rock staff across his lap. You consider calling out, but your voice is too weak. You just walk on. Eventually, the path joins a wider road, well-worn, dusty, etched with the deep grooves of cartwheels. In the far distance, you see a cluster of stone buildings clustered around a tall wooden scaffold. Gallows. You're approaching a market town. The sound comes first, metal-clanging animals, braying merchants shouting in clipped, urgent voices. You move cautiously, trying to blend in. Your cloak hides your face. Your limp slows you, but it also makes you look like any other crippled peasant. No one stops you at the edge of town. You pass rows of stalls. Some are piled high with cabbages and leeks. Others offer dried fish, dyed wool bundles of herbs. Flies swarm everything. Meat hangs from hooks in the open air, gray at the edges. A woman slaps away a rat with a broom as casually as flicking lint from her shoulder. The smell is unbearable. Rot sweat, dung, and smoke blend into something thick enough to chew. You hear laughter, then screams, then laughter again. You turn the corner, and there in the square, a crowd has gathered. At the center, a man stands shackled to a post. His clothes are torn, his face bruised. A robed official reads from a parchment voice, loud and theatrical. The word thief repeats several times. The crowd jeers. Someone throws a clod of mud. Another hurls a rotten onion. You watch in horror as the punishment begins. Flogging. Each lash draws a new roar from the crowd, as if they feed on the pain. You back away. Your stomach churns. Justice in this world is not about fairness. It's about spectacle and control. You move on, head down, but fate isn't done with you yet. A voice, low sharp, calls out behind you. You flinch. Then again, closer. You don't turn. You walk faster. A hand grabs your shoulder. You spin around, heart exploding in your chest. It's a friar. Round-faced, hooded eyes, dark with suspicion. He says something in a rapid dialect you can't fully catch. Then he reaches forward and pulls your cloak aside. He sees your foot. His eyes widen. He makes the sign of the cross, muttering the word, unclean. Before you can speak, before you can even plead, he shouts. Loud, pointed, heads turn. People stop what they're doing. You run, or try to. Your foot buckles beneath you, and you crash to the ground. Pain floods your vision. You crawl, clawing at the dirt. The friar points. Several men grab cudgels and start toward you. Then a whistle. High-pitched, sharp. It cuts through the chaos like a blade. Someone else steps between you and the crowd. You blink through tears, unable to focus. A hooded figure grabs you by the arm and yanks you to your feet. They say nothing, just pull you fast down an alley, then another, then through a doorway into darkness. The door slams shut. You collapse again, sobbing, choking on the panic. The figure lights a candle. A woman, hard-faced, maybe 30. She looks at you like you're a puzzle that wasn't supposed to exist. Her clothes are plain but clean. There's steel in her eyes. She says one word. Why you stammer? Shake your head. She sighs. Then miraculously, she switches languages. It's not perfect, but you catch a phrase, "Not from here, are you?" You shake your head. She watches you. Then she leans closer. "I won't ask more. You won't get more chances." She opens a trap door in the floor. Beneath a tunnel, narrow, damp. "It's either this," she says, "or the pyre." You don't hesitate. You descend. The tunnel is barely wide enough for your shoulders. It smells of earth and old air. She follows, closing the door behind her. For the next 10 minutes, the only sounds are your ragged breaths and the dripping of unseen water. Then light ahead. You emerge into a cavern. An old crypt, maybe. Stone walls. A few scattered supplies. 2 other figures sit in the shadows. One speaks. Another from nowhere. The woman nods. They gesture for you to sit. You do, and then you finally ask, "What is this place?" She looks at you evenly. A place for people who aren't supposed to be here. And suddenly, you're not alone anymore. But survival is still a long way off. The candle flickers as the woman speaks. Her voice is low, controlled, tinged with an accent you can't quite place. The other 2 figures watch you with unreadable expressions. One is a man maybe in his 40s, hair cropped close to his head, his hands calloused and dirt-streaked. The other is a younger woman, barely older than 20, face pale and sharp eyes darting toward every sound. You're sitting on a pile of old sacks that smell like mildew. The floor is cold, uneven stone. Damp seeps up through your clothes. The wound on your foot throbs so intensely you feel it in your temples. Still, you feel strangely safe. You're underground, hidden. For the first time in days, no one is shouting at you, spitting at you, or trying to figure out how many ways you don't belong. The man speaks first. His words come slowly, carefully. He's testing your ears, trying to see what language might stick. Latin. Then something closer to Old French. Then English, just a hint of it. You recognize enough. "Who sent you?" he asks. You open your mouth. You could lie. But what would you even say, "I don't know"? It's the only honest answer you have. The room falls quiet. Then the older woman snorts softly. They never do. She gestures to your foot. You'll need that looked at. If it goes black, we'll have to take it off, or you'll die before the week is out. You nod, numb. There's no fight left in you. If they want to cut off your foot, let them. At least they're talking to you like a human being. The young woman rises. She brings a bucket of water and a cloth. It's not clean, not by modern standards, but it's warmer than the stream water you drank the day before. She unwraps your bandage, hisses quietly at the sight of the wound. You don't look. She dips a cloth in the bucket and begins to clean it. You bite down on your knuckle. No one speaks while she works. Eventually, the older man brings over a small jar of salve. He rubs it into your foot. It stings, then burns, then numbs. The pain fades just a little. When it's done, they rewrap it with fresher cloth this time lined with dried leaves and something pungent. The young woman tightens the final knot. and pats your knee gently. You blink up at her, grateful. You're not the first, the man says, settling down across from you. You tilt your head. To arrive like that, out of nowhere. Lost, dressed wrong, talking strange. You inhale slowly. How many, he shrugs. 3, 4, maybe more. Most don't last long. The words hit you like a slow-moving boulder. So you're not alone. Others have fallen into this century somehow, some way. Maybe they were just dreams that tore too deep. Maybe history folded, cracked, and leaked. Maybe none of this is real, but the pain in your foot says otherwise. You look down at your hands. Your fingernails are blackened with dirt. Your skin is dry, flaking. Your wrists are thin. You're wasting away. What happened to the others? The young woman responds, her voice nearly a whisper. Burned. One by the townsfolk. One wandered into a monastery. Told the wrong story. The man adds, one tried to pass as a nobleman. That lasted a day. They hung him by morning. The room falls silent again. The candle sputters. You feel like you've swallowed a stone. So what now, you ask? I just hide down here forever. The older woman smirks. Forever's a long time. But for now, yes. The man leans forward. There's a network. People like us, not all are from your world, but they know things, they understand. You stare. From my world, your time. He gestures vaguely. Your future. Your knowledge. Your sickness. That last word echoes. Sickness, the young woman looks away. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's what you bring. Your mind races. Could you have brought something with you? A cold, a flu, something benign in your century that here could devastate an entire village? You think back to the coughing, the shivering, the fever. What if I'm the plague? They don't answer. The silence says everything. You sit back, heart sinking. So I just stay here. Until I die. The man shakes his head slowly. No. If you can stay alive long enough to heal, we can move you. There's a safer place east of here. In the hills. Old ruins. Shelter. Food. Fewer people. How far is 2 days? Maybe 3. I can't walk. Not yet. But you will. He rises, stretches his back, and begins packing supplies into a sack. The older woman speaks again. You'll have to work for it. You think you're tired now. Wait until you spend a night digging out a trench with your bare hands just to stay warm. You nod slowly. You're beginning to understand the rhythm of this world. There's no reward for suffering. No grand moment of mercy. There's just the next task, the next ache, the next hour of survival. They let you rest. You sleep. Fitfully, but deeply. You dream of electric lights, warm baths, voices on the radio. When you wake, they've left food for you, a bowl of lentils, a crust of bread. You eat every bite. That night you try to stand on your foot again. It holds, barely. and the woman, the one who found you, smiles faintly. "You'll make it," she says. "Maybe." And for the first time since you arrived in this nightmare, you almost believe her. You wake to the sound of whispered voices. Not fear this time, just low, deliberate conversation in a dialect you're beginning to parse like a child learning its first words. You don't understand everything, but the cadence is becoming familiar. You recognize when they're talking about you. You recognize when they're planning. The man, his name you've learned is Renart, sits cross-legged near the fading embers of a tiny fire, sharpening a blade with rhythmic strokes. The older woman is gone off to fetch something from above. The young woman, her name is Alice, is kneeling beside a bundle of cloth. She's folding linens carefully, like they're precious. Your foot still hurts, but it's less angry now. The skin around the wound is no longer flushed with infection. The fever hasn't come back. And for the first time in what feels like a lifetime, your limbs respond when you ask them to move. You sit up without blacking out. You even manage to chew your food without gagging. Progress. Elise looks over her shoulder. "You'll walk soon," she says softly in her fractured version of English. You nod. "Then what?" She shrugs. "Then you try not to die." Reynard chuckles under his breath. The woman returns, ducking through the low entrance with a satchel slung over one shoulder. Her name is Marthe. You've only recently caught it. She smells like smoke and something green and bitter. "We leave tomorrow," she says, not bothering to ask how you feel. You're startled. So soon winter comes. That's all she says. But the finality in her tone is absolute. You glance toward the far end of the room where the stairs lead up into daylight. You haven't seen the sun in 2 days. Your body is healing, but your mind feels brittle, stretched thin by too much fear and not enough hope. You lie back, staring up at the low ceiling of crumbling stone. You're not ready. But readiness is a luxury here. The next day, the world greets you with a pale, bone-chilling sky. The air is sharp and wet with morning mist. Marthe throws you a bundle of rags to wrap your foot. Then she hands you a stick, a walking staff thick and knotted like something pulled from a ruined fairy tale. "East," she says, pointing toward the tree line. "No towns, no roads. Move like ghosts." You nod, the weight of the staff grounding you. You start walking. Every step is a struggle. But it's a different kind of pain now, one you can manage. You follow Marthe and Elise in single file while Reynard brings up the rear. He's quiet, always scanning, always listening. A hunter in the wrong century, or maybe exactly the right one. The forest is denser here. Thick moss carpets the roots. Branches arch overhead, blocking the light. It feels like stepping into the lungs of the world. They walk without talking. No idle chatter. No stories. Every sound might give you away. After a while, your thoughts fill the silence. You think about time. Not just the hours or days since you arrived here, but the concept of time itself. Here, it's fluid, elastic. It stretches when you suffer snaps tight when you move. You've forgotten what day of the week it is. You've forgotten your own birthday. Back home, everything was measured minutes, seconds, deadlines, alerts. Here it's sunrise and sunset, hunger and fullness, health or death. The simplicity of it is terrifying. At midday, you stop near a stream. Alice hands you a piece of salted meat and a hunk of brown bread. You chew slowly, aware that every crumb counts. The bread is full of chaff and bits of stone as always. Your teeth ache with each bite. Your jaw feels like it's grinding gravel. Reynard watches you. You're slower, he says. You shrug. I'm trying. He nods. You're not dying. That's something. It passes for encouragement. After lunch, Mart leads you up a ridge that overlooks a distant valley. Smoke rises from the far side campfires, maybe. Or villages. Hard to tell. She stops abruptly and points. There, she says. That hill. Tomorrow night. You squint. A rocky outcropping, barely visible through the haze. But you see it. You nod. Then she does something strange. She takes a small object from her satchel, a cloth-wrapped bundle, and hands it to you. You unwrap it slowly. A mirror. Not a shiny modern one. A bronze disc, slightly curved, polished, just enough to show a reflection. It's warped and cloudy, but it shows your face. You recoil, you barely recognize yourself. Your cheeks are hollow. Your lips chapped. Your eyes. God, your eyes look haunted. Like you've seen 1,000 winters in 1 week. Marta watches you. Keep it, she says. To remember you were here. You tuck it away in your satchel heart, thudding. As night falls, you make camp in a hollow near the base of a massive oak. Reynard builds a fire so small it barely gives off light. Ali curls up beside a pile of leaves. Marta hums quietly as she mends a tear in her cloak. You sit wrapped in your own thoughts. It hits you then this might be your life now. Not a nightmare, not a trial. A permanent exile in a world that doesn't care if you ever find your way back. You could die here, of infection, of exposure, of hunger. You could be killed by raiders or arrested by a local lord who doesn't like your accent. Or you could vanish beneath this sky your bones never found, and no one in your time would ever know what happened. But you're not alone anymore. You glance at the fire where Reynard sharpens his knife, and Marta speaks to Alice in low tones. There's no warmth in their voices, but there's steadiness. They don't promise safety, only survival, and that somehow is enough. You lie back against the tree cloak, tight around your shoulders. Above the stars shimmer in constellations you don't recognize. The night sounds are different here, more guttural, more alive. But they lull you anyway. For the first time, you let yourself sleep. Not because it's safe, but because there's no other choice. The dawn arrives quietly, no alarms, no digital chimes, just a soft gray light that seeps through the trees like breath from the mouth of the forest. You stir beneath your cloak, stiff and sore limbs reluctant to move. Your eyes blink open to the scent of wet earth and smoke. Somewhere nearby, birds trill, uncertainly hesitant in the chill. You hear rustling. Reynard is already up, packing supplies. Marta ties her satchel with a firm knot, then glances at you. Eat, walk, quiet. The instructions are simple. Everything here is simple, and yet nothing is easy. Alice hands you a small lump of bread and a sliver of cheese, dry, sharp, and hard as bone. Still, it's food. You chew it slowly, the familiar ache in your jaw now just another background pain you've learned to ignore. You're limping again, but your foot miraculously is holding. The swelling hasn't returned. The salve must be working. Or maybe it's just luck, or sheer stubbornness. You've passed the point of measuring pain in degrees. Now it's just part of you. The morning's walk is quiet, save for the crunch of boots over damp leaves and the occasional snap of a branch. You descend into a shallow valley where the trees grow thin and frost clings to the grass in silver tendrils. The cold bites harder than before. Winter is not approaching. It's already here. The others know it too. Their pace quickens. By midday, you reach the base of the ridge Marth pointed out yesterday. The climb is steep. Your legs burn with the effort, and you have to pause every few minutes just to catch your breath. The air grows thinner the higher you go. You cough a dry hacking sound that leaves your throat raw. Not too loud, Renart warns behind you. We're near roads now. You glance at him. Bandits. He nods. Or worse. Lords. You don't need elaboration. In this world, power doesn't wear a polished smile. It carries a sword and expects your silence. By the time you crest the ridge, your body is screaming for rest. But what you see nearly makes you forget the pain. Below you, nestled in a pocket of wind-swept stone and crooked trees, are the ruins Mart spoke of. They rise from the hillside like the bones of a fallen beast. Broken walls, half-toppled archways, stones blackened by fire and time. Nature has swallowed the place in vines and moss, but beneath the decay you see the skeleton of something once significant. A priory, Marta says, voice low. Burned. Abandoned. How long ago, she shrugs. 100 years. Maybe more. The others move ahead, stepping carefully among the rubble. You follow, weaving between collapsed columns and sunken stone. It's quiet here, eerily so. Even the wind seems hesitant. Reynard leads you to the least damaged corner where part of the roof still holds. Inside, there's a circle of stones black with old suot and piles of scavenged wood. Someone has stayed here before. Maybe Marta. Maybe others like you. They begin to unpack. Alice starts a small fire. Mart lines the walls with herbs to keep away pests. Renard disappears into the trees to set traps for rabbits. And you sit. You breathe. You watch. You're still not used to silence. Back home, silence was rare. You were surrounded by noise, podcasts, traffic screens, voices, alerts. Even in sleep, your mind buzzed with the aftershocks of information. Here, the silence is total, unforgiving. You can hear your heartbeat, the crackle of the fire, the whisper of wind through ruins. It forces you inward. And what you find there is uncomfortable. You think about how easily this world could kill you. How even now your body is still unfamiliar here. Your thoughts are alien. Your instincts betray you at every turn. You know nothing. You command no power. You have no place, and yet somehow you've made it this far. Elise sits beside you, legs crossed. She pulls something from her satchel and offers it a dried apple slice, wrinkled and brown. You take it with a grateful nod. Why help me, you ask? She doesn't answer right away. Then she says, because I was helped. You glance at her, her jaw is tight. Her eyes flick to the fire, to Martha's back, then to the shadows beyond the ruin. Where are you from, you ask softly. She meets your gaze. For a second, you see something crack in her. something unspoken and ancient. Then she answers, "Not here," and that's all she says. You understand. Night falls early. The fire burns low. They take turns keeping watch. Marta insists on sleeping with a knife under her blanket. Renard cleans a short bow and stares into the dark like it's speaking to him. Alice writes something in a leather-bound book, then tucks it away beneath her cloak. You drift off beside the fire, and you dream again. But this time it's not of your old life. It's of this place. The ruin, the forest, the faces around you. You dream of walking roads you don't recognize, of hearing your name spoken in an accent not your own, of surviving. In the dream, you are no longer a visitor. You are a part of the world. When you wake, the fire is cold. Elise is gone. You sit up sharply. Reynard is already on his feet. "Stay here," he says. You start to protest, but Martha shakes her head. Let him find her. Did something happen, Martha? Shrugs, though worry lines her brow. She does this sometimes. The hours drag. The fire is rekindled. Food is shared in silence. You stare out into the woods, expecting shapes in every shadow. But Elise returns before dusk. Her cloak is damp, her boots caked in mud. But she's breathing hard, and her eyes are lit with something fierce. She throws down a scrap of parchment. Renard unfolds it, scans it, then looks up at Martha. "A raid," he says. "North Village. They're hunting strangers." Your blood goes cold. Martha exhales. We move at dawn. Elise sits beside you again. She doesn't speak. Neither do you. But the meaning hangs between you like smoke. You're running again. Always running. Because in this world, staying still too long gets you noticed. And getting noticed means you die. The sun hasn't risen yet, but you're already moving. Martha shakes you awake in the half-dark, her breath visible in the cold. No time for words, just the silent urgency of motion. Reynard is already outside packing his satchel. Alice moves quickly, her cloak still damp from the day before, but her face unreadable. You stuff the few belongings you've been given into a bundle, some dried meat, the mirror a strip of cloth for your foot. The pain has dulled to a quiet roar. You barely notice it anymore. There's no luxury in pain here. If it doesn't stop you from walking, it's just part of the journey. As you leave the ruined priory, you pause for a moment and look back. There's something solemn about the black stones, the collapsed roof, the fire pit with its pile of charred ash. A grave for a life that almost ended. A place where in some twisted way you were born again, not into comfort, not into freedom, but into a deeper understanding of what it means to stay alive. Marthe leads the way, her cloak rippling in the wind like a warning flag. You walk single file again down the opposite slope, following a deer trail that winds through thickets of bramble and damp pine. The wind cuts deep now. The sky overhead is steel gray, and snow threatens to fall at any moment. No one speaks for the first hour. Then finally Alice walks beside you. Her breath is ragged. She doesn't look at you when she speaks. It's not just one raid. You glance sideways. What do you mean they're hunting for unmarked people? Ones without origin. She says the word like it's a curse. You blink. People like me. She nods. Then softly, like me, your feet stumble slightly on the path. You've known deep down that she wasn't native to this world. Not quite. But hearing her say it, hearing it confirmed, unlocks something sharp and terrifying in your chest. You're not unique. You're not the first. You're part of something much stranger. How long have you been here, you ask? She doesn't answer right away. Too long, she whispers. A silence falls between you. Not empty, just thick with understanding. Renart calls out softly from the front. You all freeze. He crouches, pointing at something in the dirt. Tracks. Boots. More than one person, heading in the same direction. Fresh. Marth kneels beside him. Her face is tight. She smells the air like a hunter. Then she stands. We'll have to circle around. You press on, veering east, now deeper into the forest. The terrain becomes trickier hills that turn to ridges that crumble into ravines. Your foot screams again, but you clench your jaw and keep moving. Pain is survival. As long as you can feel it, you're still alive. By midday, the sky darkens, not just with weather. Smoke. A thin black line rising in the distance. Martha stops. Renart squints. No one needs to say it. A village is burning. You don't go toward it. You veer south again, clambering over a fallen tree. The land here is unfamiliar even to them. Marth curses under her breath. There are no landmarks, no visible trails. The woods here are too thick, the undergrowth too dense. It's easy to get lost or surrounded. By mid-afternoon, the snow finally comes. A slow drizzle, at first fat, wet flakes that soak your shoulders and fill your hood. Then heavier. The path vanishes beneath white. The world becomes quiet again, but not peaceful, ominous. Every sound is muffled, every movement slower. You're freezing. Your hands are numb. Your lips split open with every breath. The cold isn't just uncomfortable, it's alive. It presses into your bones. It wants something from you. Renart finds a shallow cave carved into the hillside. It's barely a shelter, but it blocks the wind. You huddle inside. Elise pulls her cloak tight and sits beside you. Her hands tremble. She offers you a piece of dried fruit, but you shake your head. You can't swallow. Your throat is too raw. Marta tries to start a fire, but the wood is wet. The flint won't spark. Her hands are too stiff. The panic is quiet, but it's there. If you don't get warm soon, you'll freeze. Elise pulls out her leather-bound book again. You lean closer. The pages are filled with sketches, notes, scribbled equations, maps that don't belong to this world, names crossed out, phrases in English, Latin, French, and symbols you don't recognize. You whisper, "You were trying to get back." She nods. "Still am." You look at her. Really look, and for a second, she's someone else. Not a girl from this forest. Not a survivor. But someone like you. From somewhere that doesn't exist anymore. Renart manages a small spark. Enough to smoke, to glow, to give you a few minutes of warmth. You all press close. Martha murmurs a prayer, half Latin, half something else. You don't know what God she's speaking to, but you close your eyes and say something too. Not a prayer, a promise. I'm not dying here. and something in you believes it. Even as your breath fogs and your body trembles, even as the fire fades and the night deepens, you say it again. I'm not dying here, and neither are they. Not tonight. You wake to a white world. Snow blankets everything, the trees, the trail, the cave entrance. A hush has settled over the forest, thick and absolute, like nature itself has stopped breathing. The fire died sometime in the night, and your body is stiff but not frozen. You're still here, somehow. Reynard is already outside, brushing snow off his shoulders and sharpening a stick to use as a spear. Mart crouches beside the embers, blowing gently, trying to tease one last flame from the ashes. Alice hasn't moved. She lies curled up beside her pack, her cloak pulled over her head. You shift slowly. Your foot aches but holds. No sign of new infection. The cold might have helped in a twisted way, numbed it, slowed the fever. You sit up, joints cracking like dry branches. Martha sees you, nods. We go soon. You don't bother protesting. You already know how this works. You move or you die. End of discussion. Alice stirs. Her eyes are red, sleep-deprived, or something deeper. She doesn't speak, just sits up, takes out her book, and marks something on the inside cover. Another page turned. Another day survived. You share a piece of hard bread and a slice of cold meat. Reynard returns with news he's seen fresh prints again, not animals, human. At least 3 sets, heading northeast, possibly scouts, possibly worse. They're closing in, he says. Martha grimaces. We stay in the trees. You travel without speaking, through snow-covered underbrush and across frozen creeks. The sky hangs low and gray, pressing the world into silence. The cold claws at your skin, sneaks under your layers, numbs your fingertips and your thoughts. But you keep moving. Hours pass. Your legs are lead. Your breath wheezes. But the rhythm of walking becomes hypnotic. Step. Limp, breathe. Repeat. Eventually, you come to a clearing where the trees thin out and a structure rises from the whiteness. A stone arch, ancient and worn, covered in ivy and snow. It stands alone, the only remnant of something lost long ago. Reynard stops. So does Martha. Even Alice seems caught by its presence. What is it you whisper? Mart doesn't answer right away. Then she says, a gate, or what's left of one. You walk beneath it. Nothing happens. No thunder. No change in light. No ripple in the air. But something does shift subtly internally. A feeling, as though the weight of the forest lifted, if only slightly. As though you passed into somewhere older, deeper. A place that remembers things you never lived. You move on, but you glance back once. The arch is already disappearing behind trees and snow. Part of you wonders if it was ever really there. By midday, the snow has turned to sleet. Visibility drops. You can't feel your hands. Reynard pulls you aside and rubs snow into your cheeks hard. If your skin goes white and waxy, it's too late, he mutters. You nod, dazed. They find a hut by mid-afternoon, a crumbling shepherd's shelter, its roof partially intact, its interior filled with leaves and the bones of small animals. It's miserable, but it's shelter. You huddle inside while Martha blocks the door with a slab of fallen wood. Reynard starts a tiny fire just enough to warm fingers and dry socks. Alice hands you her book. You hesitate. You want me to read it. She nods. You flip to the first page. It's not just sketches. It's a record. Dates, some marked with calendars from centuries that haven't arrived yet. Names of people who passed through places that don't exist on medieval maps. Notes about odd weather. About dreams that feel like memories. About time not behaving properly. Your heart begins to race. What is this? Alice watches you. Proof. You glance back down. One entry jumps out. Subject 17 arrived during harvest season. Early 21st century speech. Confused. Died within 3 days from infected wound. And another subject, a 22, made it to the stone arch. After that time became unstable. And then beneath that subject 23, arrived disoriented, mentally intact, injury present, verbally reactive, possibly adaptive, unconfirmed. Your blood turns to ice. That's me, you whisper. Alice nods. You're not the first, but you might be the last. You stare at the page. You've been watching me, all of us have. She leans forward. There's a reason we didn't leave you to die. Marta speaks now from the other side of the fire. Most who come here break. They scream, they run, they draw attention. You didn't. You feel like your lungs can't quite expand. What are you saying? Reynard joins in. We think you can handle what comes next. What does that mean? Your voice rises. What comes next? No one answers. Not yet. The wind howls outside. The hut groans under the weight of snow and time. You close the book and hand it back to Alice. Your hand lingers. I want to know everything. She nods. Then live through tomorrow. And for the first time you realize this journey isn't just about surviving until sunset. It's about surviving long enough to understand why you're here at all. The fire burns low into the early hours. You lie half awake, your body wrapped in layers of wool and linen, but your mind spinning like a cartwheel down a muddy slope. The pages of Alice's book echo in your thoughts. The entries, the names, the fates of the others. Subject 17. Subject 22. Subject 23. You. They've been watching, measuring, judging. You don't know if you're part of an experiment or an accident, a prophecy or a mistake. But something about the way Alice looked at you, that quiet determination in her voice, tells you this is bigger than survival. Something's coming. And you're not just a witness. You're the test. Dawn creeps into the world without color. Just grays and shadows and cold that hasn't eased for days. The wind rattles the edges of the hut, and your breath hangs visibly in the air. You haven't spoken since last night. You don't want to break the silence. It feels sacred somehow. Reynard is the first to move. Always is. His steps are noiseless, like he's part of the forest now. He checks the perimeter, eyes scanning the frost-covered brush like a hawk. Marta brews something hot and sharp in a cracked clay bowl, herbs, vinegar, and bark. You drink it without asking what's in it. Your throat burns, but your sinuses clear for the first time in days. Elise sits across from you, her eyes heavy but bright. "We go today," she says. "To where?" She nods toward the mountains in the distance, their peaks now visible through the thinning trees. The stone. You feel something shift in your chest. The stone Renard returns and answers without prompting. The place where time bends. Marta chimes in, not bends. Leaks. You stare at them. "You've been there," Marta shakes her head. "No, only she has." She means Alice. Alice holds your gaze. "I didn't go far, but I saw enough." You swallow. "What happens there, truth," she says simply. They pack quickly. Efficiency replaces fear. You're moving not just to escape, but to arrive. This feels different, like the beginning of something new. The journey is steep. The forest thins as you climb, giving way to jagged rock and frost-hardened soil. Your foot throbs with each step, but you push through it. You've stopped counting the pain. As the elevation rises, so does the wind. It howls through the narrow passes like a living thing clawing at your cloak and whispering unintelligible warnings in your ear. You catch yourself listening to it, as if it might suddenly make sense. Martha notices. "Don't answer it," she says. You nod slowly, not sure if she's joking. Hours pass. The climb is brutal. The cold more brutal still. Your hands go numb again, and every muscle screams for rest. But they don't stop. None of them do. And so neither do you. At last, near dusk, you crest a rise and find yourself in a small clearing surrounded by broken stones. Half-buried pillars. A flat slab in the center, dark as obsidian and covered in moss. It's too precise to be natural, too old to be recent. You feel it the moment you step near it, something under your skin. A hum. A frequency too low to hear, but too real to ignore. Alice kneels beside it and brushes away the moss with her sleeve. Symbols emerge. Not letters, not numbers. Something else. Your head throbs. Not from pain, but from memory. You've never seen these before. And yet somehow you have. Reynard and Marta stand at the edge of the circle watching. They don't interfere. This part is yours. You step forward. The stone feels warm despite the cold. Your breath catches in your throat. Your vision swims. Then it happens. The world shifts. Not dramatically, not like the movies. No flash of light, no whirling portal. Just a slow, deep wrenching, like your mind is being lifted out of its socket and placed in a slightly different position. Your memories blur. Voices whisper. You're back in your apartment, your real one. For a second. The ceiling fan hums. The smell of coffee lingers. Then it's gone. Now you're in a hallway. A medieval one. Candlelit. Stone walls. A monk passes without seeing you. Then you're back, standing at the stone. Alice is gripping your shoulders. "Breathe," she says. "Stay here." Your knees give out. She catches you before you hit the ground. The moment passes. Your heart pounds like a war drum. "What was that?" you whisper. Alice looks shaken. Even she wasn't prepared for what you saw. The veil, she says. It's thinner here, like skin stretched too tight. Marta speaks behind you. Some say this place was sacred. Others say cursed. I think it's both. You try to stand. Alice helps you. You're weak, dizzy, but alive. Why did you bring me here? Renart steps forward, his expression grim. Because now you've felt it. And once you've felt it, you can't ignore it. Felt what? The crack. You look at him. In time, he nods. In everything. Alice places her book on the stone. The pages flutter. The wind picks up. The clouds darken. Then she says something that freezes your blood. They're coming. Renart's hand drops to his blade. Martha's eyes narrow. You turn in a slow circle. The forest is no longer silent. Voices echo in the distance. Not villagers, not raiders. Voices like yours. Voices from the future, but not friendly. You feel it in your bones. And you know now this was never just about surviving the past. It's about what's trying to cross over and what they expect you to do about it. You stand frozen beside the ancient stone, every instinct in your body screaming at once, run, fight, hide, disappear. But your feet won't move. The air around you has changed. The cold feels electric, now charged with tension. The hairs on your arms rise. Somewhere in the distance, those voices still echo, muffled, unnatural, close but not near. Like they're coming from behind a wall that's too thin to stay standing much longer. Alice hasn't taken her eyes off the tree line. Marta is already moving, circling the clearing with the steadiness of a wolf mother checking for weak points, for exits, for anything they can use. Renart is gone. Just gone without sound, without breath. Off to intercept whoever or whatever is approaching. And you're trembling. Not with fear, exactly. It's something deeper. The sensation that something impossible is becoming inevitable. That history isn't as fixed as you once believed. That time isn't a river, but a web, and something is tugging the strands. Alice turns to you. You need to decide now, she says. Are you going to stay in this? Or are we going to spend the last of our strength keeping you alive for nothing? You swallow hard. Your mouth is dry, your tongue sticks to the roof of it. Stay in what you manage. She doesn't smile. This isn't just about you. It never was. We didn't pull you from the mud just so you could die a quieter death. I didn't ask for this. None of us did. Marta cuts in. Then be the one who survives, not the one who regrets. She hands you something. It's a blade. Short. Balanced. Simple. Iron. You take it. The weight of it in your hand is terrifying. Not because of what it can do, but because of what it might require. The forest moans again. The trees sway too hard. A branch cracks and falls somewhere out of sight. The voices are louder now. You still can't make out what they're saying, but they're not speaking medieval French, or Latin, or English. They're speaking your language. A perfect, polished, modern English. Too crisp for this place. Too clean. You step closer to Alice. Who are they? She doesn't look at you. They're what happens when the veil tears wide enough. They're not from now. But they think they belong here, like parasites. You whisper, "Are they people?" Martha answers. They were. Once, Elise kneels again and presses her hand to the stone slab. The symbols, those strange shapes you couldn't place before, flicker faintly beneath her palm, not glowing exactly, but pulsing, as though the stone itself is breathing. She speaks to it. Not a spell, not a chant, just a plea. Words you don't understand, whispered like a secret no one was supposed to say out loud. The air grows colder. Then, like a scream with no sound, a ripple spreads outward from the stone. A blast of pressure that knocks you slightly off balance. The wind dies, the birds fall silent. Even the forest holds its breath. And then, they arrive. 3 figures step into the clearing, dressed like nothing else here. Not peasants, not nobles, not monks. Modern clothes torn and stained, coats with zippers, shoes with treads. One of them, tall, hollow-eyed, wears what used to be a corporate ID badge around his neck, half melted. Another carries a machete. The last has no visible weapon, but something in their hands glints like metal laced with circuitry. You stumble backward. They're like me, you say. Alice responds quietly. They were. Mart steps between you and them. Don't speak unless they do. The figures pause near the stone. They glance at you. The one in front badge, still swinging, tilts his head. You're early, he says. The words strike you like a slap. Familiar. Perfectly spoken. No accent. What you're not supposed to be here yet. You step forward despite yourself. Who are you? He grins. It's not a pleasant smile. What matters is that we remember how things end, and it's not with you. Renard returns then, silently, from behind. He has an arrow nocked. Ready. They're bleeding time, he says under his breath. You don't understand. Alice does. They've been here too long. They're not stable. The 3 figures shift. You can see it now, tiny flickers in their outline like static. Their shapes waver for half a second, the light around their edges bending wrong. The one with the ID badge smiles wider. This place doesn't belong to you, he says. It belongs to everyone who remembers what came before. Elise doesn't hesitate. Then remember this. She strikes the stone with the flat of her hand, and everything explodes. Not with light, but with sound. A hum so deep it bypasses your ears and rattles your ribs. The stone glows faintly now, not white, not gold, but a kind of memory of light. The air shakes. The sky seems to crack like glass held too tightly. The invaders reel backward, clutching their heads. Renard lets his arrow fly. It strikes the machete wielder dead in the chest. The figure crumples not with blood, but with steam, like breath hitting ice. Alice pulls you back. It's time, she says. Time for what? For you to choose. The stone pulses beneath your feet. It's asking you something, not in words, in feeling. Do you go forward? Do you fight? Do you try to go home, or do you stay and protect what little thread of reality still holds? You close your eyes. The forest, the fire, the plague, The hunger, the pain, the people, the faces that pulled you from death again and again. You inhale sharply. I stay. And with that, the stone answers. A light erupts from its surface, soft, silent, like a beacon unseen by anyone who isn't supposed to find it. The two remaining figures retreat, shielding their eyes. But Alice steps forward. Reynard follows. Marta nods. And you grip your blade tighter. Because now you're not just surviving the medieval world. You're standing between two times and choosing to guard the crack in the middle. The forest trembles beneath your feet, not with sound or movement, but with something deeper, something woven into the very bones of the earth. The light from the stone pulses again, slow and steady like a heartbeat, and you realize it's not just a relic. It's alive in some way. A sentinel, a lock, or maybe a wound. The air is vibrating now as though time itself is pushing against its constraints. The remaining intruders, those warped, flickering shadows, dressed in the tattered remains of the modern world, stand at the edge of the clearing, their figures fraying at the edges. They're not stable. Not anymore. The one with the circuit-stitched gloves trembles, hands spasming like a puppet with broken strings. He speaks, his voice layered in echoes, his own and something beneath it. This world is fading. Let it. Mart moves to your side, voice like iron. No. The man steps forward, boots cracking on the frost. You don't belong here. Neither does she. He nods toward Alice. Or you. His eyes lock with yours. You could come with us. There are others places where the veil is open, where time bends for us. You stare at him. His body flickers again, now here, now somewhere else. Like he's caught between channels on an old television. You see for a brief instant what he truly is beneath the modern clothes, just bone and time and memory clinging to form. You're not human anymore, you say. He laughs. Neither are you. Alice places a hand on your shoulder. It's the only warmth in the clearing. Don't believe him. She kneels and places her palm on the stone again. This time the symbols erupt into color, not fire, but something like it. A swirl of ancient hues, language, and logic, written in light and shape and pressure. Martha and Renart form a circle with her surrounding the stone. You understand now, this is the barrier, the line in the sand. Not a weapon, but a seal. And the time to hold it is running out. Renart hands you another blade, longer, heavier, sharpened to a cruel point. It's old. Older than this century. Maybe older than any. Take your place, he says. They'll try to breach the moment we hesitate. You step beside Alice. The heat from the stone is intense now, though the forest is frozen. The world around the clearing seems suspended, as if everything outside this moment is waiting to see what you'll do. The man in the ID badge speaks again. You don't understand what you're protecting. This world disease, filth, hunger, misery. You grit your teeth, and still it's real. He smirks. So is fire. Then he lunges. You barely react in time. The moment his foot crosses the edge of the stone's glow, the light flares, and you're moving. You don't remember deciding to swing. You just move. Blade meets body, but not flesh. It passes through his frame like cutting through water. But he screams. not in pain but in frustration. His form buckles. He collapses to the ground, limbs writhing in glitching spasms. Then nothing. He's gone, like he was never there. The last figure hesitates. Her outline twitches violently. Her eyes, once calm, are now wide with something raw. Fear, maybe, or recognition. She whispers something you don't hear. Then she too vanishes into mist or wind or history. The stone pulses one last time, then dims. The silence afterward is deafening. You drop your blade. Your knees hit the ground. Your chest heaves. You're drenched in sweat despite the cold. Your hands are shaking so hard you can't unclench your fingers. Renart lowers his bow. Mart exhales. Not relief, just release. Alice kneels beside you, hand still on the stone. They'll be back, she says. You nod. You already know. This wasn't the end, just a breach, a probe, a reminder. What are they, you whisper? She doesn't answer right away. Then she says, what we could become. You shiver, not from cold, from truth. Mart stands and begins covering the stone. Again leaves branches, frost, hiding it, protecting it. Not sealing it away, but shielding it from curious eyes. Reynard steps into the tree line to ensure nothing remains. You sit there, heart pounding, staring at the ground where your enemies stood. No footprints. No ash. Just silence. Then Alice does something unexpected. She presses her book into your hands. You blink. I don't... She smiles. It's small. Tired. But real. It's yours now. You stare at the cover, leather-bound, frayed at the edges. The pages alive with history no one else remembers. Why me? Because you stayed. You don't know what to say. She pulls her hood up and turns away, already moving through the forest. Mart follows. Reynard lingers just long enough to nod at you once. And then you're alone. Just you, the stone, and the truth. The sun breaks through the clouds at last, sending a wash of gold across the snow. It hits the stone and scatters into the trees like the world itself exhaling. You hold the book tighter. You've survived starvation, sickness, violence, and time itself. And now you begin to remember what it's all been for. You remain in the clearing long after the others have disappeared into the forest. The stone lies buried once more beneath a blanket of snow and fallen leaves, the glow gone, the hum silent. It looks like nothing now, just a broken slab, forgotten by time. But you know better. You felt it, heard it, and it heard you back. The book is heavy in your hands. You flip through the pages once more. Every line, every scribbled symbol and cryptic entry now feels like a living thread in a tapestry you never knew existed. These weren't just notes. They were warnings, memories, attempts at map-making in a world with no borders. And now the book has passed to you. The weight is real. The responsibility is not metaphor. As you stand, the forest greets you with a fresh breath of wind. Crisp, cold, but no longer menacing. The storm has passed, and though the air is still bitter, the silence feels earned now, like the forest itself recognizes you. You're different. Not in body, not even in mind exactly, but in some intangible way. You stepped into a world that should have killed you within hours, and now you're standing on ancient ground with a blade at your side and a story in your hand. You start walking again. The path back to the hut is winding and quiet. The snow crunches softly beneath your feet. The pain in your leg is dull now, a constant reminder, but no longer a threat. You've learned to walk with it, to move in spite of it. It's a scar forming, not a wound festering. Martha meets you just before the tree line. She doesn't speak, just gives you a single hard look like she's taking inventory of your soul. Then she nods and turns. That's all the welcome you need. Inside the shelter, the fire's been rekindled. Alice sits with her knees tucked to her chest, staring into the flames. She looks up when you enter, eyes flicking briefly to the book in your hands, then back to the fire. Reynard is sharpening a new arrowhead. The world has returned to motion. You sit beside Alice. They'll come again, won't they? She doesn't answer immediately. Then they always do. History never protects itself. It remembers, but it doesn't resist. You think about that for a long time. Why this time? Why now? Because time's tired, she says quietly. Tired of being stretched and bent, of being torn at by people who want to make it their tool. They want shortcuts, power, control, and they've figured out how to bleed through the cracks. You look down at the book, and we're the patch. She smiles, but there's sadness behind it. No. We're just the reminder that this world is still real, still rooted, and worth protecting. Martha enters and drops 2 dead rabbits near the hearth. She begins skinning one without ceremony. The smell of raw meat mixes with the smoke and snow. So what now, you ask, mostly to yourself. Reynard speaks without looking up. Now you train. You learn. You memorize every page in that book. You learn the terrain, the names of the rivers, the way the sky changes before a breach. You sleep lightly. You eat when you can. You never walk in straight lines. And when the next one comes, he pauses, looks at you. You don't hesitate. You nod slowly. Then Alice turns to you again. There are more of us. Your breath catches. How many? Not many. Scattered. Hiding. Waiting. Some didn't make it this far. Some chose to go back. Through the cracks. Others became something else. She doesn't need to explain. You saw what becomes of the ones who stay too long and forget who they were. Can we fix the cracks, you ask? Martha snorts from the corner. You don't fix cracks in time. You hold them shut with your body and pray no one notices. Alice shakes her head. She's not wrong. But maybe we find a better way. The fire crackles. Silence returns. But this silence feels new. Not born of fear or desperation, but resolve. Later that night, you lie awake listening to the distant creak of trees swaying under the weight of snow. Your thoughts wander to the world you left behind, the sterile lights, the clean water, the screens, the rush of meaningless schedules. And yet, it all feels smaller now. You remember your bed, the hum of a refrigerator, a phone charging on a nightstand. It feels like fiction. Here, nothing is easy, nothing is soft, but everything matters. Each bite of food, each step, each breath. Everything carries weight. You open the book again by candlelight. A blank page stares back at you. Your turn. Your story. You dip a quill into ink and begin to write. Not for glory, not for anyone else, but because remembering is its own kind of survival. And tomorrow you'll start learning how to fight, not just to live, but to guard the timeline. The ink soaks into the page like blood into soil, thick, dark, final. Your hand shakes as you write, not from fear now, but from the enormity of what it means to record this moment. You are no longer a guest here, no longer a stranger stumbling barefoot through a world designed to kill you. You are now part of the record. You stare down at the words you've written. Not many. Just enough to name the day, mark the event, and begin your own chapter. The others watch without watching, eyes half lowered, respectful, like they've seen this rite of passage before. Because they have. You were subject 23 once. Now you're something else entirely. The forest remains quiet the next morning. Snow has stopped falling. The air is still bitter, but the clouds have thinned. Shafts of light pierce the canopy and strike the snow in golden spears. You step out into it and close your eyes, letting the cold settle against your skin. You're still not clean, not well fed, not fully healed, but you're whole. And you're standing. Elise joins you without a word. Her presence is calm. You've learned that she rarely speaks unless the words serve a purpose. That silence isn't avoidance here, it's armor. A quiet forged from too many losses. She hands you something. A small cloth bundle. You unwrap it to find a necklace, simple twine threaded through a smooth stone, etched with one of the symbols from the guardian stone. A spiral. Infinite. Unbroken. You glance at her eyebrows raised. What is it? A reminder. Of what? That you lived. That you chose to stay. You tie it around your neck, letting the cold stone settle against your chest. It feels heavier than it looks. Or maybe you're just understanding the weight now. Later, Renart takes you into the woods. You've graduated from barely limping to learning how to move like a shadow. He teaches you where to place your feet, how to feel the slope of the land through your legs, how to listen with more than your ears. You're not trying to sneak past people, he says. You're learning how not to be noticed by the land itself. It sounds ridiculous at first, until you do it, until you vanish into a thicket and the wind forgets you're there. Then it starts to make sense. Marta teaches you how to make poultices, how to distinguish feverwort from foxglove, how to gut a rabbit with your eyes closed. She does it all without embellishment, without patience, but with precision. Her lessons are not just survival, they're inheritance. Knowledge passed down from a world with no books. Elise teaches you time, not the hours of the day. That's long gone. But how to read the angle of light, the weight of air, how the birds grow silent before something unnatural breaches the veil. You begin to feel it too. That strange pressure, that ripple in your bones. Sometimes at night you wake just before it happens, a strange coldness sweeping through the woods. A soft distortion, like heat rising off stone, even though the air is frigid. Then the smell, not smoke, not rot, but something metallic and wrong. Once you see the flicker of a figure standing at the edge of the trees, watching. It doesn't move. It doesn't need to. You watch it back. Eventually it disappears, and you write about it in the book, like Alice did, like the ones before you. The blank pages begin to fill with drawings, dates, markings of the stars, crude sketches of fractured intruders, your dreams, your doubts, the stories of near deaths of things that broke through for just long enough to leave marks in the trees that bled light. And then one day, Alice takes the book back. She holds it for a long time, flips through it, then nods. It's yours now. You think she means the job, the role, the thread in the web. But maybe she means something else. Because 2 days later, she's gone. She leaves before dawn. No goodbye. No explanation. Just a small drawing left folded in your blanket. A tree. Its roots tangled around a stone. Above it, a date. Not from the past, from the future. A warning. Or a destination. You sit in the ruins of the hut that night, book on your lap, firelight, dancing across its spine. Reinhardt sharpens his arrows in the dark. Marta murmurs to herself over a map of places that don't exist anymore. And you realize you've stopped asking how to go home. Because this is home now. Not because you belong here, but because here you matter. You wake the next morning and start moving before the others. Not to flee, not to hide, but to patrol, to guard the crack. The place where time thins and truth bleeds. And if another lost soul arrives sick, barefoot, bleeding, confused, you'll be there. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be the reason they survive past sunset. So if you're still awake, first of all, wow, you made it. Through starvation, fever-shattered time, and the coldest nights of history, this story, wild as it was never just about the Middle Ages, was it? It was about what happens when we lose the comforts we take for granted. When we're stripped down to just the essentials, breath, heat, memory. When there's no screen to hide behind, no calendar to tell us who we are, no soft bed to cradle us. What's left is you. And tonight we traveled somewhere history books only gesture toward. A place where time doesn't follow rules, where your toothbrush won't save you, and where survival isn't a given, it's an earned moment, one heartbeat at a time. Whether you drifted off hours ago or clung to the edge of consciousness all the way through. I'm glad you made this journey with me. Maybe it was an escape. Maybe it was a reflection. Maybe it's a reminder that the past is never as far away as we think. Either way, now that you've come this far, you deserve rest. So let your breath slow. Let your shoulders drop. The danger is gone, the fire is low, and for once, no one is chasing you. You are safe, you are warm, and you are home for now.